So I'm going to continue reading. Heritability of personality traits. How much of your personality is the result of your genetic makeup, and how much is the result of the environment you grew up in? This nature-nurture question is one of the oldest and most enduring issues in psychology. Interestingly, people with little or no exposure to research seem to readily accept that both genetic background and experiences are important in shaping personality. Parents often point to personality traits their children got from me, but few would deny that the way they raise their children also plays a large role in what kind of adults the children become. Thus, the question is not which of these genetics or environment shapes our personalities, but rather to what extent and how rather to what extent and how our personalities are shaped by by each. So we might rephrase the question this way: to what degree was the mold for your adult personality already cast by the time you were born? Researchers now agree that relatively stable abilities and aptitudes, such as intelligence and related cognitive abilities, appear to have a large genetic component. This is not to say that a highly intelligent child cannot be born to relatively unintelligent parents, or that a child's environment plays no role in intellectual development. On the contrary, it appears that both environment and culture influence adult intelligence and other cognitive abilities. Similarly, many psychological disorders appear to be affected by the genes we inherited. Again, this does not mean people are born to be schizophrenic or depressed. Rather, some people are born with a higher susceptibility to these disorders than others. What about personality traits? Are people born to be aggressive or extroverted? There is now ample evidence that genetics also influences these and other personality traits. However, collecting good evidence on this issue is not easy, and questions remain about how to interpret the data that are available. Separating environmental from genetic influences. Psychologists working on the environment genetics question have a somewhat different task facing them than those working in other areas of personality research. For technological and ethical reasons, it is not possible to manipulate people's genes and observe the kind of adults they become. Instead, researchers must rely on less direct means. Like detectives trying to piece together a picture of how we got to where we are, these researchers use innovative and sometimes clever experimental procedures to track down the roots of adult personalities. The most obvious source of information on this question is the similarity of parents and children. Aggressive parents often have aggressive offspring. Shy children often come from homes with shy parents. Similarly, we often see brothers who are both outgoing or sisters who are both sensitive and caring. Casual observers look at these relationships and often assume that children inherited these traits from parents. However, this is an obvious alternative explanation for these similarities. Members of a family not only share genes, but share living environments as well. Siblings' personalities may be similar because the parents raise them in the same basic manner. Children of introverted parents might become introverted because of the calm and quiet home they grew up in. In most cases, therefore, shared genes and shared environments seem hopelessly confounded. Fortunately, researchers have developed ways to peel one of these influences away from the other. The most popular procedure for separating the role of genetics from the role of environment is the twin study method. I'm a twin. This method takes advantage of a naturally occurring phenomenon, the two types of human twins. Some two are monozygotic, MZ. That is, the two babies come from the same fertilized egg. These are the twins who look alike physically, the ones we commonly call identical twins. The important point for researchers is that monozygotic twins have identical genes. The other type, dizygotic twins, DZ, comes from different eggs. These two babies, commonly called fraternal twins, are no more alike genetically than any two siblings. The logic behind the twin study method is illustrated in Figure 10.1. We assume that two same-sex dizygotic twins and two monozygotic twins who are always the same sex share very similar environments. Let me look at Figure 10.1. Okay, so let me go ahead and explain Figure 10.1. So 10.1 is twin study research diagram. It pretty much is a four-square that shows monozygotic twins, MZ, and dizygotic twins. Monozygotic twins share the same environment and the same genetics. Dizygotic twins share the same environment, but they differ in genetics. Let's go back. All right. The logic behind the twin study method is illustrated in Figure 10.1. We assume the two same-sex dizygotic twins and two monozygotic twins who are always the same sex share very similar environments. That is, in studies using this method, twin pairs, regardless of type, are the same age and the same sex and live in the same house under the same rules. Therefore, the extent to which the environment is responsible for their personalities is going to be about the same for both types of twin pairs. However, if there is also a genetic influence on personality, we would expect the monozygotic twins to be more like each other than are the dizygotic twins, because the monozygotic twins also have identical genes, but the dizygotic twins do not. Researchers using the twin study method give personality trait measures to both members of both kinds of twins. They then look at how similar the twin brothers and sisters are on the traits. If trait scores for the monozygotic twin pairs are more highly correlated than the scores for the dizygotic twin pairs, we have evidence for genetic influence on personality. Because the environmental influence is roughly the same for both kinds of twins, it is assumed that the monozygotic twins are more alike because they also have identical genes. So pretty much, if something is similar for monozygotic twins, then it's assumed to be genetics. And if something is the same for dizygotic twins, it's assumed to be the environmental factors. Because, wait, no, that's confusing. That's probably wrong. Just forget what I said. But just, the reading was right. Okay. Moving on. Alright, I'm going to take a quick pause because I feel like something doesn't feel right. I don't know, I'm just going to pause this video.